The point streak continues with a W, no less, for the Avs as they take down the Calgary Flames. Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche post-game show presented by Bet365. We got Big E and Rudo coming to you live as the Avs take this one down. Just to shout it out one more time if you weren't here earlier, go get in on our Die Hard sale. You can get it for $36 right now. Officially, it's an NFL free agency deal, but what we can really call it is the Avs point streak deal because it's 8 straight with points for the Avs, and that's got the deal going on. So go get with it. Go sign up to be a DNVR diehard today. Get a bunch of amazing rewards. You can get a free shirt when you sign up for a diehard and make it the Mac 1K. Why not? It's a great shirt. Highly recommend you get it on the Mac shirt. Celebrate him being only the 4th Nova Scotian to get 1,000 points. It's all good. You can also join the Discord and a bunch of other great stuff when you become a diehard for a great price. All right. Look, I really liked this hockey game. I don't know that it was the most entertaining game outside of the third period where it got wild and crazy, but I think this is the Avs that we've been waiting for a lot of this season. I put the tweet out after the first period. Feels like for months and months and months we've been saying, hey, the Avs need to tighten the screws. We're waiting for the Avs to tighten the screws. We're waiting for the Avs to figure out and put all these pieces into place. And it feels like a lot of that is coming together, particularly on the defensive side. And I know there were times where the Avs gave up high-danger chances through those first 2 periods, but it's hard to be mad at an effort where the Avs gave up, 11 shots across the first 2 periods of this game.
Yeah, and you knew there was going to be a push by the red team, right, in the third, and that's, probably double, ended up in the 20s. And again, they're fighting for their lives. That team is, they're trying to get points, trying to get 1 point at least, trying to get back into this game. They didn't quit. They worked hard. But you're right, the Avalanche, the depth, obviously, we all know how good they were tonight, and we all know the top 6 wasn't very good. But again, there wasn't a lot of room. There's not a lot of room in the neutral zone. The top 6 guys got stubborn with it a little bit. Turnovers at their own blue line, turnovers at the offensive zone blue line. Where the bottom 6 decided to get down deep and get down low. Charlie Coyle, I thought, was great, even though he didn't pick up. I don't believe he picked up any points, but down low he was great. He stuck his rear end, made some plays, created stuff out of nothing. The top 6, it just wasn't their night. They just were looking for an easier night, I guess. But, again, in the playoffs, you're going to have those nights, and you're going to have to fight through, and you're going to have to dig deep and greasy it up. And it was nice to see, again, the depth really rise to the occasion tonight. And, I'm not worried about the top guys. I'm saying, again, their play was suspect. Druin was more than fine, I thought, on the top 6 part of things. But great to see those guys. Great to see the fourth line getting 12, 13 minutes of ice time. I love it. And I think that's the quality of your team. And I think this Avalanche team is well balanced. And you can see it, why they made those moves at the deadline, and then creates, some well-balanced offensive outputs.
Look, let's face it. Earlier this year, games like this were a luxury. Before the trade deadline, there had not been many games where if your top guys don't play very well, the Avs win. This is the second game ish since the deadline where your depth pretty much won you the game. The Toronto game, you did get a big goal from McKinnon in that one, to be fair, but it was your depth doing the majority of the scoring, and most of that came from the second line. Tonight, it's your third and fourth lines that are really doing the heavy lifting for you offensively, and to be honest, do I like that the Avs top 6 was bad? No. Do I really care about that because the Avs won? No, because they're your top six. You know they'll be good. You know a bad game from your top six is not a problem because they aren't bad for long. That's why they're your top six. They're good. So it does not bother me that they didn't play very well tonight, and even less so because the Avs won anyway.
Oh, I'm with you. And even after the first period, we were like, oh, okay, maybe we'll get, a better out. But I mean, again, they've given up 2 shots. I mean, bad. I mean, won the period, 1-0. You can't really be that mad. And then I don't remember who got the first goal.
Lindgren.
I don't remember. Yeah, that's right, Lindgren. So you're like, oh, okay, and then your first line's probably going to get better a little bit this period. Oh, they didn't. You know what I mean? And then it was the second and third and fourth line that really went to work. And I'm not worried about it. You get some of those nights where you don't want to call them stinkers, but pretty close to stinkers. It's not like they were really dangerous. But it's awesome because they carry your team. You get 100 points on the board as a forward, and you're in game 60 something. That means you're carrying your team, right? This guy's been carrying McKinnon's. You're doing all right, and more often than none, we were begging in that 10 game, whatever it was, 15 game. We were begging for someone to put a point and or a goal to help out the top line when they weren't scoring 3-4 goals a night. And now you're getting it, and there's a reason you're getting it because they're all slotted in the right spots. Everybody's on the right spot. Parker Kelly's on the wing. Was never a center. I think AJ tweeted it out today. We all know that. He's a winger that can play center. He's not a center. So he was helping out, and it's good to see him. We have friends and family in the stands. Good to see him. Again, I might have to have a talk with him when I see him about shoot the puck, buddy. You're going down on a 2-on-1. Get a hat trick. Don't be nice. Shoot the puck. And then it's too bad they go down the other way and that fluky goal goes in. But it's like, that could have bit the Avs in the butt. But it's great to see those guys. Jack Drury, Charlie Coyle, O'Connor, Parker Kelly, Kivy the Cat, all those guys. It's fun to see them get rewarded. It's fun to see them get some good quality ice time. Hey, listen, when you're not afraid to put your fourth line out there like Coach Bednar hasn't been, afraid to put those guys out. I'll tell you one thing. It is an added bonus. Again, what does that do when you have some depth like that? We talk about it the past few weeks. Internal competition. Really? You're going to take Parker Kelly out of the lineup next game, Logan? No. So at the end of the day, no, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. So it's like all of a sudden, if you're Miles Wood, then you got to wait your turn. And when you get in there, you got to make a difference. Those guys are finding a way to make a difference. You got to make a difference. And it's not just about scoring goals. I wasn't worried about Parker Kelly scoring goals. They've been buzzing. For every time they're together, they're buzzing. And they're trustworthy. And coaches meaning Bednar, Pratt, Ray, they like to put those guys out there. They're not afraid to put them out there on defensive draws. They're not afraid to put them out there to start games, start periods. They're not afraid to put them out there on offensive zone draws. Remember, he talks about that all the time about Kiviranta. There's a trust factor. Well, there's a trust factor with those 3 guys. It didn't take Jack Drury too long to get that factor, and we all know that, obviously Parker and Logan have been good together all year. And again, you asked a lot of Parker Kelly to be center for 3/4 of the season when he's not a center. And boy, oh boy, I like that they get rewarded. I like that they get some quality ice. And I think it's awesome to see.
Just to paint a picture of the night, not a single forward broke the 20-minute mark. Nathan at just 19:57. Every forward broke the 11-minute mark. Your low man being Jack Drury at 11:07. Your bottom 5 forwards, 4 of them had points in time on ice, and 2 of them had multi-point nights. That's pretty good. That's pretty darn good from your depth guys. It's impressive, and the Avs needed it tonight, so they showed up when they needed it. Defense is obviously a little bit scrambled. The one real negative you might take from tonight is Josh Manson's injury. Mm-hmm. Not exactly clear what it is. He left after the first, or left late in the first, returned for the second, and then left again for the third. So it's a little bit of a weird one there. But only played 8:52. 4 forwards broke the 20-minute mark tonight, or 4 defensemen rather broke the 20-minute mark tonight. Yeah. So really a solid effort top to bottom from the night, even if, you want better offense from your top six, sure. But you win as a team, you lose as a team, and your depth picked you up tonight. It's great work on that front. I do want to start from the D back at the end and work forward here, E, because I'm curious what your take is on this a little bit. Again, the Avs only gave up 10 shots on goal in the first two periods, which is great defense. I think it's pretty impeachable that the Avs played very, very good defense through the first two periods. But at the same time, the opportunities they did give up, there were a good number of high dangers. Can you live with that? Is that why you pay a goalie, or do you think a little bit of an adjustment needs to be made?
No, I mean, we talk about it all the time. You're gonna give up high quality chances. It's just hockey. You have to respect the other team. But at the end of the day, there weren't that many. I know there was only 2 shots on it, but there were some chances where the sticks got in the way. There was a post, like you said. There was a few more chances than just basically 2 shots on net, right? But I think those chances, that's why you get a goalie. I mean, it's going to happen. You're going to mess up. You're going to get pressured and you're going to cough up a puck. You're going to have a brain fart. It just happens, right? So at the end of the day, it's all good. I think the Avalanche have been playing really well defensively for a while now. I think that, especially now with the addition of Lindgren, hard to figure it out tonight what they were trying to do. Obviously, with Josh getting hurt, so but it looked like he was going to have Sammy with EJ, right, the old pairing from back then, and Ryan and Manson again together, which I thought they would split, but who knows? Ryan Lindgren played great. I mean, he's a warrior, he's a tugboat. I love that addition. We talked about it. He's such a better, and I know what's his name, Bednar talks about it all the time, and he uses the word deploy, right? You know what I mean? We feel that if we deploy him right, you know what I mean, we can, help his game out, and I think that's what they've done. And Nolan Pratt again doesn't get enough credit for all that kind of stuff, but Ryan plays hard. He's a warrior. Everything is like dig. You know what I mean? He gets hit in the face. He's always in the way. It's kind of fun to watch. Again, you're assuming that if Charlie, not Charlie, but Manson, Charlie was his dad's nickname. If Manson, didn't finish the game tonight, you're looking at. I don't even know if they're flying home tonight or flying home in the morning. Again, sleep doctors get involved.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. It doesn't matter. Somewhere, somehow, it's a short turnaround with what is it, a 1:30 game Sunday? So you know what I mean. So I think not too sure what they're going to do. Obviously, Malinsky will. You're assuming Malinsky will draw back in and Manson won't play. If you can't finish a game, I'm not too sure. 20, 30 hours later, you can play whatever it is. 36 hours later, you play a game. I don't know. I don't think so. But it's okay because that's why you have depth. That's why you have Malinsky that's been playing really well. Hopefully, Josh is not too serious. It was kind of nice to have no injuries. But again, we'll knock on wood on that one. I thought Manson jumped up on the play a couple times. He had a big hit. I mean, his game was pretty good for those 8 minutes that he played until he got hurt.
It was fine.
So again, we'll see what happens, and you go from there, and you adapt, and you figure out tomorrow what your lineup's going to be.
Yeah, you can adjust. The Avs have a little bit more of a luxury with that. If Manson is out, Sam Malinsky slots in, and you don't feel that bad about your defense. You don't feel bad at all, to be honest. It's just a little bit of a different type of player. I know it's a bit of both, but can you give me a scale here of credit to the Avs for locking this Calgary team down, at least through those first two periods, versus Calgary just failing to show up?
No, you know what? I think the Avs just played a pretty good, solid first period. I mean, I thought you saw they were trying to win that game in a sense. They were trying to go again. They like to be in 1-goal games. I mean, Dustin Wolf loves to be in 1-goal games. They that's how they play. They don't have that firepower. I mean, their leading scorer is Huberdeau. I think before the game he had 48 points, whatever it is. Mac has 100 and some points. So they don't have the firepower that the Avalanche have.
Sure.
They don't have a Makar. So they know they can't get into a track meet. I thought for the most part, they really kept, again, the Avalanche top players were not really good, but also you got to give credit to Calgary. They're the ones that were locking things up and had five guys in the neutral zone, clogging the middle. The Avalanche kind of being stubborn with their play, and that's how you got to right. You want to make them stubborn. That's what you do. You take time and spice away from top end guys like that, and if you do that, then you get them frustrated. Then you might catch them on a turnover. So yeah, Calgary Flames, I thought they felt pretty good in that game once they were like one shot away from tying it. Again, when it went 2-0, it was like, a little different. We might have to have a bigger push, and that's when you saw them really have a bigger push. Obviously, there was a couple soft, questionable calls. All of a sudden, they got their a couple chances out there. They actually scored on one of them, but give credit to Calgary. I thought they played a decent game. I mean, they just weren't putting a lot of rubber on net, but they were working hard. They were just, playing within their limits. You got to remember, they're missing Backlund, Zary up front. You're missing a few of those guys. It makes a difference when you're not like the deepest team in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, no, they definitely lacked firepower tonight. Let me make a deal with you, though, chat, as we have to pay a few bills here. So let's jump over to that. But I'll make a deal with you on these. The next time the Avs score on a penalty shot or shootout, I'll shotgun a beer because it may never happen again. And we are, of course, sponsored by Breckenridge Brewery, the official craft beer of DNVR. You can get in with Breckenridge Brewery today. Make sure you're checking them out. They got a flavor for everyone. You cannot go wrong with Breck Brew. So get with them. You can get the Avalanche down at the DNVR bar during an Avs game. You get $2 off. So that's a great deal. But they have a flavor for everyone, whether it be their West Coast IPA, which is new, or bunches of other flavors. They've got IPAs, they've got sours, they've got wheat beers, they've got it all. You name it. Breck Brew has you covered when it comes to beer. So make sure you're checking them out. You can get over with Breckenridge Brewery at breckbrew.com. Use their online beer locator to find it at a local liquor store near you. And go get yourself an Avalanche, or if you're a Nuggets fan, you can get the Mile High City. If you're a Broncos fan, they got the Phone Slinger. You check it out. You get it. It's all good stuff. They even got Good Company hard seltzer if that's your thing over at Breck Brew. Once you got a Breck Brew in your hand and you're chilling, you also got to make sure you're taking care of yourself, being healthy. Maybe you're like me and you feel like you're getting old every single day. Maybe you're like Eric and you are actually old every single day. Timeline can help you feel younger. You're 36, buddy. I'm only 33. All right, that's way older than me. So. Timeline is all for health and longevity. That's what they do. Their product has been researched for over 15 years, and they have 30 different patents, so they know what they're talking about. And what they have is called MitoPure. And what MitoPure basically does is it re-energizes your mitochondria. If you have ones that aren't firing correctly, it's the powerhouse of the cell, right? They'll get it firing up. It's been proven to help add to muscle longevity. Make sure you go get with them. Make sure you're checking it out. Get the MitoPure that recharges your cells and helps your body systems to work better today. Again, you can head over to timeline.com/DNVR to check it out. Get ready to be your best, most energized, most revitalized you. That's timeline.com/DNVR to get started, and you can get 10% off when you head over there. Timeline.com/DNVR. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Look at Tiff, super ready, super on it. 3 stars of the game. Star number 3. He's back. He's been doing it lately after a long drought. Ross Colton, he picks up 2 assists tonight. That's now 9 points in his last 8 games. A little bit of in spurts. Seems like some multi-point nights in there, but I'll be fair here. Ross Colton is not going to continue a point-per-game pace for the rest of the season. That's as unrealistic as the long stretch of pointless games. This is the pendulum swinging back the other way. It had to happen eventually. I'm glad that it has been as successful as it has, and now is where you need Colton to start being that consistent depth scorer for you, and it's great that he comes up big in a night where the Avs needed it.
Absolutely, and what I'll add to that, and we've been talking about, for me, Ross Colton is a third, fourth line. I mean, again, third liner. He's not a top 6 guy. I think they tried to make it, again, he gave it some really reliable services at the start of the year, right? Riding shotgun on the top line. He can do it, but at the end of the day, he's suited and he's better slotted right there. He's getting some points right now, but he's getting some energy. He's on to the puck. He's you can tell he's playing with a lot more confidence. Again, you go back to that point. Remember, he got that secondary assist and he was fist pumping. You could tell
Yeah.
it was like, okay, he got his name on the board there. He got off the bagels, and all of a sudden he's been producing since. So I like it. He's intense. He's getting into it. And again, there's some competition there, and he knows it too. He wants to get some ice time. I'm not sure what his ice time was tonight, but at the end of the day, you're in there and you're part of that bottom six there. Whoever you're playing with tonight, he got in there. Obviously, he scores a goal when he's with Parker, and again, it was just one of those changes. Had nothing to do with that, but it didn't matter. He was on the forecheck. He's trying to wrap it around, and Parker's the beneficiary of that play. I like Ross. I like when he's playing this way, and certainly the Avs, when you're talking about depth and you have Ross Colton at the right spot there on the wing in your third line, you're in pretty good shape.
The Avs become a really, really hard team to beat when their depth is producing. And yeah. I'm not asking them to produce 3 goals a game like they have a couple of times lately. That's too much to ask. But even if you're getting 1 goal a game out of your third and fourth lines, I mean, that's massive for you. It makes a wild difference. And when you look at the last handful of games here for the Avs, they've gotten a depth goal in pretty much every single game since the dead. I mean, the Chicago one was an empty netter, so count that if you want or not. But it was Kivy who scored it. But in the other 3, they have gotten a legitimate depth goal, if not multiple. It's impressive, and I keep giving you credit for this since the deadline. It's impressive how much of a difference fit has made with the guys they've gone out and got. Not just the guys newly fitting in, but like you talked about with Kelly, the fit of the players that were already here.
Yep. Yeah, and Ross, I just saw the highlight in the corner of my eye there. I said on the forecheck, that was a sick forecheck. He steals the puck from their best D, Mackenzie Weegar, that you love, by the way. And then all of a sudden, he just turns it around. And that's what you need. You need plays like that out of Ross Colton. You need plays like that because he's fitting at the right spot. That's why Parker's getting that. He's in the right spot. In the lineup I'm talking about. Obviously, Val came back. That helped. You know what I mean? And like you were saying, yeah, he took Parsinen's spot, right? So did it really push guys down? No, you were right. But then at the deadline, by getting Coyle, by getting Nelson, and again, you're going to say, oh, you took Middlestat out. Yes, obviously. But getting Coyle really, really, really puts it in a perspective where Parker Kelly, you don't need to play him at center, right? Obviously, Drury was added a few weeks back on the Rantanen deal, but all of a sudden now you're pushing everybody down, you're pushing everybody in the right place, and then everybody's thriving on those bottom spots there, and that's what you need to do. And don't forget about it. There's Miles Wood, there's Big Daddy Jimmy Vesey. You know what I mean? There's some competition in there. You want to get dressed, you're going to have to go and show what you got. And so far, so good tonight, obviously, with the depth guys, because they all want to stay in the lineup.
I want to sidetrack our 3 stars for a bit because I think the conversation chat is having is really interesting of, do goals matter more than assists? And that's not the simple answer you want it to be. Obviously, the objective of hockey is to score goals, but not all goals and not all assists are created equally, right? There are goals that get scored where the assists don't matter at all, and there are goals that get scored entirely because of the assist. So it's really hard to put, are goals more important or assists more important into any one category. It depends on the goal and how it was created. I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts though, E. Generally speaking, would you say goals are more important or are they the same value? Where are you at?
Wow. I mean, the most important thing to do in the game is to put that galvanized rubber into the mesh net, right? So I think goals are more, but again, if there's no assist, you wouldn't get goals, right? I mean, most times, right? So, I mean, it's just like, oh, man. God, I would have to say about the conversation in chat, it's more, for me, it's more, are you involved in the most important goals that are scored? You know what I mean? There's always guys that are so good at scoring the 7th goal on the 7-2 win. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, for me, it's like, are you involved, whether it's like, primary assist or a goal? into these goals that make a difference. So it's kind of like a cop-out answer. It's got to be both in my book, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, you're right. And when it comes down to voting, is it the guy that scored the most goals? That's why everybody thought Matthews was going to win it, right? Oh, he scored 60 goals, whatever. And then McKinnon ended up winning, and I think it was not even close, right? I mean, the voting was not even close. So I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of both for me. It's more how you involve in the plays that matter, that count, is more important.
Clutch more important than goals or assists. Got it.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Let's go back to our 3 stars. Get to star number 2. Ignore goals and assists entirely and talk about saves when it comes to Scott Wedgwood. Another fantastic game for me from Wedgwood. Even with the limited work he saw in the first 2 periods, which, by the way, Eric, you talk about it all the time. 2 shots on goal in the first period, and he ends up saving all the first 10 shots he faces, more than that even. But Wedgwood kept himself in the game. More importantly, a guy who never failed the Avs. The Avs never trailed in this game. And a good portion of that is, yes, they had great defense, but when Wedgwood was called upon, he got the job done. Look at the 2 goals he gives up tonight. Maybe you want a better rebound on the first one, maybe, but you also want your defenseman to be there and ready for that rebound. And then the second one is pure nonsense, like ridiculous off of Huberdeau's head, like silly. All the other ones that he reasonably could have stopped, he did.
I mean, there's nothing he can do. And then think about that. Take a goal away there, and his save percentage just goes way up, right? I mean, and that's, again, he didn't get beat there. To me, he got, like you said, it was a farce. You know what I mean? Like, honestly. Wedgie's been great. Every time he's been called upon, he has been outstanding. I don't know. I don't believe this was his scheduled start tonight. I think it's going to work out for the better. Obviously, Blackwood is under the weather. I'm not here to judge because Tiff's going to tell me and remind me that Wedgwood is a very good-looking man and he's very sharp. But I'll tell you one thing: in the interview tonight after the game with Kyle, he looked a little pale. I mean, he looked a little worn down. Again, was it the lighting? I don't know, but so maybe there's a few guys sick. Maybe it's going around the room. I have no idea, but obviously Bednar said it that Blackwood was under the weather a bit. Again, was it a scheduled start for Wedgwood? Not too sure. If it wasn't, then awesome. If it was, then awesome. He's given this team a chance to win. He's a solid soldier, solid veteran. He's always ready. And right, I talk about it all the time. It's not easy to go make a save when you haven't had rubber thrown at you. Like, it's hard. And I think this guy's mastered it. I think he's probably trying to help Blackwood because I think Blackwood's been really good about it. You know what I mean? Going stretches with not a lot of goals. Where not goal shots. Where in San Jose he was getting peppered. So I think those two are good for each other. I think they're good for the morale of the team. And when you see Wedgwood get in there and put up another performance like he's done the last 2-3 times he's been out, not that he was bad before, I'm saying, but he's really made a difference. And tonight, this is a great choice for the second star, absolutely, because this was not an easy night for him.
Yeah, could have gone with some other guys too, but I want to give Wedgie his due. And then our number 1 star should be obvious. It's Parker Kelly. You know it. I know it. We all know it. This close to a hat trick tonight. Couldn't quite get it across the finish line, but he has already said most of it. It's incredible how much better a guy looks when he's in the right spot. And Parker Kelly is not the guy that's going to come out and score 2 goals for you very often, but he is a guy that does all of the details right, does all of the right things for you, especially when he's put in a position to succeed. And it's great to see a guy like that come through for Colorado.
I love it. The only thing about tonight that I'm mad at is, like I told you, should have shot the puck with Logan on a 2-on-1 right before that craziness of a goal. So he got too nice. Sometimes you can't be nice. He's a nice young man. Friends and family in the stands. How great is that? And obviously, Wolfie stops it with the knob of his stick for him to get that third one before that 2-on-1. So very high event game for him on the offensive side of things. fun to see. I think this guy, since they went and got some depth and everything, he was more like, oh man, I might really crap out of luck here. I might not be in this lineup. But I think Bednar's been very fair for a couple things. What does he bring to our lineup? Well, him and Logan have been great on the penalty killing. You know what I mean? And he gave them great services when they were really thin at center. This is a guy that really played. I don't want to hear he's a center. He's not a center. He played out of position and went down the middle, where that's not his forte, but he dug deep. He never complained. Fun to see guys like that get rewarded, because you need them to step up at times. And again, he was part of that group that kind of went dry, right, for a little bit in that thing. But I like what I like tonight. Forget about his 2 goals. That's great. What I like is where, I'm going to use Bednar's name here, where Bednar deploys them. You know what I mean? I'm going to use that word that he uses all the time. He's not afraid to send them out there. He's not afraid to send them out against top line, bottom lines, offensive zone, defensive zone. They're getting 12, 13 minutes of ice time as a fourth liner. Wow. You talking about benefits maybe Sunday of not having too much ice for McKinnons of the world, and this is how you spread the ice. And again, the Avalanche were winning by a goal, never trailing. So, of course, Mac didn't play 26, 27 minutes. We all know that's when you're chasing the game. You're going to put your best player, the best player in the league, obviously, on the ice. But I'll tell you one thing. This is what I think Bednar and the coaching staff, obviously, with the help of the front office, have been dreaming of. It's that kind of depth. And he brought the word death when it was the Mikko Rantanen trade that didn't want to trade. But they said, we have to be better with our depth. Jack Drury was a big acquisition there. And again, now who's benefiting from that? Parker Kelly, because now he can play the wing, and you add Parker to Drury and O'Connor, and all of a sudden you have some very, very fun to watch and very exciting for what's coming up for the Avalanche.
All right. We talked about depth. Let's talk about some height and pay some bills here, E. E, can you tell me how high Denver is in feet?
5280, brother.
Correct. And you can win 5280 with the Colorado Lottery. Go get your hands on the limited edition $5 Denver Nuggets scratch game. You can win those 5280. There's 25 prizes of that size. There's also a grand prize of $50,000. So jump in with Colorado Lottery and play on. Get those scratch tickets. If you're a basketball fan, you got to jump in with them on those Denver Nuggets scratcher games. We had some. They're fun, Nuggets score a lot of points in real life, so hopefully they score a lot of points on your scratch card. Even if you want it just for posterity, it's a cool little memorabilia piece for the Nuggets. They're available now. You can go get in with them. Of course, you can get anything else from your Colorado Lottery options too. Go check them out. Play on with Colorado Lottery. The Nuggets scratchers are available now. Once you've got your scratch ticket, maybe won yourself a little bit of money, make sure you're also checking out Toyota for what could be your next vehicle. They're the official vehicle of not just us here at DNVR, but the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche too. If Parker Kelly was a vehicle from Toyota, what would he be?
If Parker Keller, he'd be a 4Runner?
He's a truck guy. He'd be a Tundra for sure.
Whatever. Sorry, yes. I didn't think about it. Tundra, yes.
He's hauling the heavy work in the bed of the truck for sure. Whatever vehicle it is, Toyota has a vehicle for you. The 4Runner, like he said, the Tundra, like Parker Kelly, or you can go get a Corolla if you're more of a sedan kind of person. They've got it all at Toyota. 17 different all-wheel drive vehicles, 16 different hybrids, whatever it is you're looking for. Go on over to your local Front Range Toyota dealerships, including AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe and Centennial, Corin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain State Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, and I did want to retouch on this as Parker Kelly is our UC Health extraordinary player of the game with the 2 goals tonight. This is something you talk about a lot. It's hard to be a 4th line, 5th line player. There's 2 sides of this. One, Parker Kelly scored 2 goals, nearly had a hat trick in a grand total of 13 minutes tonight. That's not a lot of ice time. to be putting in that kind of work. But 2, he did ultimately get 13 minutes in this game, earning maybe a little bit extra compared to those guys who are down around 11. We talk a lot about Jared Bednar's safety blankets. Is Parker Kelly earning that role a little bit?
100%. 100%, and with reason. And you got to remember, your minutes are always going to go up a little bit if you're killing, right? If you're playing
True.
special teams. And I think he's been fair. When I say he, Bednar and company, Prater runs the PK, but you can't just cast aside 25 and 17 because of, they've been good all year on the PK, and because you added Charlie Coyle. That's a master on the PK. We all saw that in the 5-on-3 against the other day. Brock Nelson, that kills a lot of penalties. You can't just all of a sudden add bodies and then cast those guys aside. I think he's really given them again the chance to get out there, as we saw tonight on a big kill. And those guys are getting extra minutes that way, right? So does Kivy at times, Kivy the cat. So I think there's a big trust factor being built right now. And that's why I say, again, I'm not trying to bag on other guys, but if there is, knock on wood, injury, no injuries, it'll be tough for Miles Wood to get into the lineup right now. Let's call a spade, you know what I mean? Because are you going to take a top 6 guy
after
out?
Tonight? No chance, buddy.
Are you gonna take Kibby the cat out? I make fun of Kibby, but he's got 4 goals in 4 games besides tonight. And he's played well, and there's a trust factor. And then who are you gonna take out? Okay, you gave Logan a night off. Yeah, they're great, And again, there's also Jimmy, right? That's waiting in the wings and try to make his imprint. He's played 1 or 2 games. I like Jimmy. I think Jimmy's a guy you can throw in anywhere in there. So, but you're more a safety blanket right now. Wait your turn. Be ready. Stay positive. But boy, oh boy, it'll be tough to get any one of those forwards out right now. Again, I get it if he's trying to get guys in, but oh boy, like on a trust factor, like
that.
If you're starting
on Sunday, you're not touching that. Yeah,
you're not touching that Sunday in that game. Not a chance, and not a chance. And with all the reasons, and those guys understand the assignment. They've showed up ever since then, and it gets tighter. And either you're gonna fold because you're too nervous. Oh my God, I won't be in the lineup. And that's why even on the defensive side of things, meaning on the decor, Malinsky's been good since it's been tight and everything. Same thing. He's been playing his best games. So it's a good sign there. But boy, oh boy, I'm not touching that forward group, even though we all know the top 6 wasn't very good tonight. But we all know that's not going to be sustained. Again, remember that 10-game span, you're like, it's not sustainable, Ross Colton, not to go and get points. So the top 6 is going to be more than fine. But when your bottom 6 is going like this, I'm not touching it. I'm not changing anything in there. And it's fun to watch. It's really fun to watch.
All right. I've got a question for you, a stats question.
Yeah.
Which Av do you think had an under 50% face-off percentage tonight?
Which one had the best face-off percentage?
Which one had under 50% tonight?
Oh, I'm sorry. Boy, I wouldn't know. Would it be Mac? Maybe. I don't know. I didn't even pay attention.
It would not be Mac. The only
Charlie?
Center. Nope.
Okay. Brock. Process of elimination. Nope. Okay. Jack.
Nope.
But who else took draws? I don't remember.
None of the centers were under 50%.
No, there you go.
Technically, Parker Kelly took one and lost.
So. Oh, yeah, I saw that. I remember I was like, that's why you don't put Parker at center. I remember I was giving it to him. Yeah, you're right. I saw Carl Coyle take a big draw on the right side. I even saw Mac at the end of the game take a big draw on the right side. You know what I mean? Nelson's been good. Drury's been good. Man, oh man, it's fun to see, everybody contributing that way. You know what I mean? Little things. Somebody in chat was talking about Nelson. Of course, Nelson might not be at ease right now offensively. Again, it's just there hasn't been a lot of chemistry between the top six right now, but he does other things good in the game, right? Because he forechecks,
Yep.
he touches the game where there's a reason why the other team shoots twice on net in the first period. It's not just a decor. It's a 5-man unit. It's guys that are out there forecheck, guys that are out there with their sticks and the like. So you can touch the game without scoring, absolutely. And Brock's done that. I think there's a lot more in the tank for Brock. There's a lot more in the tank for Val, for example. Tonight gets that cheapy empty netter, but not his best game. He'll be the first one to tell you, like it was like not pretty at times. But I'm not worried about those guys. They're gonna figure it out. And again, no better way to start Sunday against a big divisional game against the Stars. It'll be fun. It'll be extra fun.
I do want to talk about the third period a little bit too, E. Obviously, Calgary came out, pushed super hard. That's not that big of a surprise. Like, you knew that was coming.
Yeah.
You knew essentially season on the line for Calgary. They're still in it, but it would have been a big win for them. Give me your take on the first portion of that third period from the Avs. Did they crumble a little bit and then manage to recover it, or was that just the ebbs and flows of the game?
I think ebbs and flows. There's 2 games out there. It's a desperate team. This is a team that's trying to desperately stay into the position in the standings that they are. I think their goal was to make the playoffs. You're right. You want to play meaningful games. You hear that down the stretch. Nothing worse than their season last year where you're playing those games that it really doesn't matter. So I think it's very important for the fan, the organization, the players. So you knew there was going to be some sort of a push. We talked about it before the game. The Uyghurs, the Ubertos, the Nas of the world. Like, it's not a bad team. It's not a bad team. It's an okay team, but it's not a bad team. And give them credit. You saw their push tonight right away. We knew it was coming. Wedgwood talked about it. I just saw that earlier, on the news there. But they expected a push. They got a push. But they were able to sustain it, the Avalanche, to some degree. Obviously, they won the game 4-2, so they weren't overblown by them. But I think there's 2 teams out there. It's easy to say all the time, like, oh my God, we're going to go out there and win 4-0, give up 6 chances, and call it a day. It doesn't work that way. It was a greasy, mucky game. The Avalanche had 1 power play, and they were like, not very good, right? And then they were going to have the chance to get another one, and they gave Cale a penalty shot. It didn't go well. Best player on the planet, but it didn't go well on that penalty shot. So, you know what I mean? So I think you got to give credit to Calgary. They pushed. They were, they were trying to get back into this game. Wedgwood was good. I think the Avalanche were good, at that time, sustaining. But you knew they were coming. They had a good penalty killing. Obviously, one of them, they score. You don't have to go back to it. It's the stupidest goal ever. You know what I mean? Like, it's a dumb goal. You didn't do anything wrong. It just all of a sudden goes up in the air and then gets. You can't. There's nothing you can do there. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything in the sense that I think Calgary was there to push. The Avalanche was there to respond, and then Avalanche have been good at empty netters all year long, right? Mikko was a big beneficiary of that, but Val was good there. G just says, there you go, you take it there, big fella. And then, easy assist for G there. Big heavy load for obviously with Manson going down, like you said, heavy, so to speak. But you're playing 5Ds, it gets to you a little bit in the third. And, it was time for the game to end. It was perfect, and call it a day, move on, and let's get home, whether it's tonight or tomorrow. Like I said, I'm not too sure about the charter situation, and then you're playing an afternoon game. I know they're not practicing tomorrow, so no matter what, they're going to be relaxing at home, getting themselves ready for an afternoon game Sunday.
There's a couple things I want to touch on in there, and I think you brought up some good points there, E. Look, this is what playoff hockey is like, right? I think the Avs, especially post-deadline, have gotten a couple of games where they just kind of cruised away into the sunset in the third period. That Toronto game, it was a good game, but Toronto absolutely folded in the third period of that game. The Chicago game, it was close for the first 2, but Chicago went away in the third period, and the Avs had a pretty easy time of it. This was an important game to a little bit of a gut check, where Calgary is desperate, and they threw everything they had at the Avs in that third period, even if they hadn't shown very well in the first 2. And there are a couple of sides to this that I want to get at. Mostly, I'm good with it. Yeah. Did they give up a bunch? Were they chasing the game a little bit at the start of that third? Sure. They give up a goal, and it easily could have been a second, could have hit a post, or did hit a post rather. That goes posting out, and what happens 45 seconds later? The Avs put the puck in the back of the net with Parker Kelly. That's the goal for me. That's the goal the Avs have not scored enough this season. The counter punch goal where you shift the momentum back in your favor and you just crush the other team. Those are the types of goals that the Avs, it felt like, needed to really be like, okay, this team is for real. This team can win these types of games with regularity. That was huge for me. The only other thing I will shout out, you mentioned the Makar penalty shot. The Avs also had a pretty horrid power play in the second period. They could have made their lives a little bit easier had they converted on opportunities earlier in the game. So maybe you'd like a better job of that. But ultimately, they did what they had to do. And when the chips were down, they put that goal in the back of the net. And again, for as squirrely as it got in that third period, the Avs never trailed in this. In fact, they were never even tied after the first goal. When they got the lead, they never even tied the game.
And I go back. I talk about it all the time. For me, it's so important. First goal of the game. Man, I believe in that wholeheartedly. I do. I do believe the way the game usually flows a certain way. If you score first, if you're the Avalanche, or if you're any team, again, if you're a bottom of the barrel team and you don't score first, you're chasing the game. It's usually a tough night. If you're a top end team, you score first. You're usually in control. I like the fact that they did that. They were in control the whole night. Did it get tight a little bit at times? Absolutely. Did it get murky? Absolutely. But they responded to the challenge. I think the Avalanche all year long have been good in one goal games. Again, there was one or two collapses if I don't remember, but they're pretty flawless after two periods. Trying to close out games, which is very important to do, especially in the playoffs. You want to close out games, but I feel good with what the Avalanche have done. But you can't kid yourself. What is it? 7-0-1 now, last 8. So you go on a 10-game run, so to speak, like that. You're gonna get a little bit of puck luck to stay alive. You have to. You know what I mean? And again, I say it all the time. You know what I'm gonna say? Blackjack. You just feel sometimes you can't win a game, but then all of a sudden you go on a run. And you get a little bit of puck luck, like you said. It hits the post on Wedgwood. Was he beat? Not beat? It was close. Goes down the other way and they score. Right? So you need some puck luck. You need some good bounces. I do believe that you create your good bounces. I think you create your luck, but at times the hockey gods are on your side. Puck will bounce your way. It all equals out. We all know that they had no luck for a little bit at times this year. But now if you're getting a little bit of luck, if you call that luck, man, they're leading the league in or they're top 3 in posts. So it's not that good. They're not that lucky. They've been hitting a lot of posts. So when you get a little puck luck on your side, it's kind of fun to watch, fun to see, fun to capitalize on. And I think the Avalanche have done that. And
that's
the word. That's it. You got to capitalize on those things when it's there and keep riding the wave. Again, what does that do? It sets you up forget about Mikko. This is a cherry on the sundae. Mikko coming back Sunday, right? But you're chasing Dallas. You gained 2 points on them tonight. They lost. You won. Now you're playing them. It's a 4-point game. We all know what that means, right? It's like on top. If we don't have to do the math here and explain that, but it sets up for a fun Sunday afternoon. And then again, Mikko returning, that's the cherry on the sundae to make it a fun, enjoyable game to watch. Should be fun.
There's going to be some energy. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
The Avs are, I don't even know if they're close. I think they probably are playing their best stretch of the season. 7-0-1 in their last 8, 7-2-1 in their last 10. If you win tomorrow, that becomes 8-1-1 in your last 10. I'm going to ask you a question that I don't know that I necessarily believe is a thing, but are the Avs ramping up to the playoffs, or is this a hot streak a little too early?
No. I think this is good. This is not. I think you're going to see this version of the Avalanche all the way till the end. And when they play that version, meaning, okay, top 6 was so-so tonight. Obviously, forget about that empty net. No production. Your bottom six picked it up again. You're going to see the top six pick it up. I think this is the version of the Avalanche you're going to see when most parts are, rolling. You're going to see more wins than losses, and I think the Avalanche will be. You talked about it would be a crazy collapse if they don't make the playoffs. So we all think they're going to make the playoffs. Obviously,
winning tonight, it would be virtually impossible for the Avs to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, so you'll be like, are you peaking too early? No, I mean, guys, there's only like 15 games left, right? Give and take. So you're into the nitty gritty. That's why they're still trying 11 and 13, for example, on the power play. It hasn't really clicked. You know what I mean? With Lecky was clicking, Druin was clicking, and I'm not saying Jonathan's on the bench kind of licking his chops. I'm saying maybe they'll have to make a switch. They'll see. But you got to give it a little try. You can't just give it a one-time try. Things didn't go. Again, we're talking about 2-3 games now. I don't know what they're going to do Sunday. Maybe after Sunday they'll switch it back and figure it out what works best because, they haven't really been productive on the power play side of things right there. So there's not a lot of games. So I think that but you have to try a few things because that's why you went and got some acquisitions, to see what they bring to the table, what they bring to a lineup, what are their strengths and weaknesses. Again, think of Charlie Coyle going on that 5-on-3 against. I mean, if you're Logan or guys like that, you're like, hey, usually that's me. Great, awesome. But all of a sudden you're getting an elite guy,
I know we have a super chat talking about this, so we'll talk about it in a minute. But before we get to that, I'm curious about this, I guess, more than anything. When you look at a game like tonight, how do the superstars in the Avs locker room feel after a game like this? Because pretty clearly, I think the Avs' best forwards are not going to be super happy with their game tonight. We all know Kale's always hard on himself. He'll be mad that he missed the shootout attempt. The penalty shot attempts. Is this do the Stars get in there and feel relieved that their teammates picked them up? Are they in there being hard on themselves, or what's that kind of like?
No, sometimes the game's not there for you. It wasn't there for them tonight. It just wasn't. Mac had an opportunity on the right side. He kind of fanned on it, or was there a stick in the way? I'm not too sure. But it's like, other than that, it wasn't really, a threat. Sometimes it's just not there for you. Give credit to the other team too. They played them tight, give them no room. Marty didn't, have the best decisions with the puck. Neither did Val. Again, Brock, not the best decision with the puck, but helped out in different ways, right? Forechecking, all that kind of stuff. Jonathan, I thought was fine. He had a couple right plays that he, didn't go through, but he was working hard. So, all in all, I think it's important. And when you're getting undressed before the media gets in there, don't worry about it. Somebody said something, from McKinnon or Val. I think is the big talker, but, probably said something like, hey, how to work, boys? Way to pitch in tonight, way to help out. And, All right, and let's get out of here and let's be ready for Sunday. But, thanks for pitching in tonight, boys. Absolutely somebody said something. But again, you don't last in this league. You don't get 100 points in this league when because you dwell on a game. You know what I mean? So I think these guys are move on. Kale might be a little bit bitter about his penalty shot and laugh about it with his family and friends in the stands. You know what I mean? And go like, "Are you kidding me?" It's probably one of the only penalty shots he'll ever have, right? You
can't be
never know.
many more in the future, but yeah.
But again, it's bad. I mean, it's too bad. It would have been fun. His dad seemed like he was having a good time in the stands and laughing, and so you know what? Other than that, there's not much to be bitter about. But yeah, sometimes it's very important for the top end guys to say, "Hey guys, good job. Way to pitch in tonight." To the fourth line, third line. So it's fun to see that.
All right. Let's get to, I think we only have one super chat, but let's hit it here and then we can wind down the show. $7. I'm not, to be honest, your name just looks like the word penis to me. I'm sorry.
Penixian.
It's not, I guess that's sort of. Anyway, the complementarity between Mac and Druin with the Lecky clutch on the first. On second, Nelson playmaker with the speed of Natchez with an explosive nuke. I mean, we know Mac, Druin, and Lecky can play well together, so that's fine. Nelson's not really a playmaker; he's more of a goal scorer in the middle.
Yeah.
But Nate just could be the playmaker there. It just kind of depends on how you want to shake it up. The thing is, like with Nelson in the middle, and health. This was true of the Avs, or really, it's been true since the Cup year. When they're healthy on the wings, it doesn't really matter. You can kind of just interchange all of the wings however you see fit, right? Max your 1C, Nelson's your 2C, and your wings just go with whoever's working.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I'm just saying it's like, I think he's trying to figure it out. I think it will end up being the same, because I think the elements are there for it to work. It worked for a game, worked for another game, and it hasn't worked all at the same time. You know what I mean? And then you saw a couple games in a row where all of a sudden the depth is scoring more than the top six. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to work. There's just times where it doesn't work in one night. That night doesn't work, but then the next game's another game. I would just keep it. I don't think you're going to see a big difference Sunday. I think you're going to go back to your lines, and I think it was more tonight. Uh, you know, let's try something because it's not really going. You know what I mean? I think they just switched to centermans and went from there. That's okay.
I don't know that you necessarily need to switch things up. It's Pierre Alex. All right, I can say Pierre Alex. That I got.
Oh, Pierre Alex. Okay, all right, I get it.
I will say, and look, take these stats with a grain of salt. There was a whole bunch of score affecty things going on in the third period. Your worst possession line was your second line. I know they kind of switched up the wingers, but the Nelson, Lehkonen, Natchez combo was your worst possession forwards. So if you see a line to getting that second line doing a better job of driving play the right way, I'm open to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they're going back to. I think those are just changes that are made on the fly. I think they'll go back to their original, like what it's been the last few games at the start of every game. You know what I mean? I think you'll go back to that because the combo is just it's set to work on paper.
Yep.
We all know that 62, 88, and 29 works. We've seen it work many times this year since 88's been there. And then we all know that 11, 13, and what is it, 27, it worked. Remember the first game, they got a few goals. And, so I think it can work. It should work on paper. I think you're going to see it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I do think it's curious. No update as far as I've seen on Josh Manson for the record, Chad.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Like, remember, he was like, he
didn't
killed the guy when he
return,
came back.
was listed as upper body. That's all we got. So
yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. I can't tell what really happened. He did have a big solid hit behind the net when he came back too, and maybe that's where he hurt his. I don't know. Maybe the first part he left. It was a minute left in the first. Might have been equipment prob. You don't know. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, he got hurt when he hit the guy behind the net. I don't know. Again, I don't know.
It was clearly something that isn't like killing him. He tried to play through it, and then obviously didn't return. So maybe he couldn't keep going, but.
Yeah,
I'm just not sure. It's really a hard one to gauge at the moment on where Manson is. A couple more things I wanted to touch on here. Give me your 30-second answer here, E.
Yeah.
Can the Avs chase? Do the Avs chase down Dallas? Let me put it on fully. Will the Avs chase down Dallas?
I think there's going to be neck and neck. Yeah, especially if you win that game Sunday. I think you're going to see a pretty tight race till the end.
It would be a 1-point difference. Dallas would have 2 games in hand, to be fair, but the Avs would be nipping at their heels for sure. Yeah, exactly.
The only thing you can do is put some pressure on them, right? So
yeah, exactly. So we'll see if they can actually do it or not. It'll be up in the air. Of course, Sunday we'll have a lot to say about that. We are going to continue the conversation, but we are going to be doing that online. If you're watching on television, this is going to wrap things up for you. Join us on the DNVR.com to catch the end of the show and our final thoughts in overtime for the DNVR Avalanche postgame. My next big question for you, and this isn't really a question. Maybe this is more of a statement than anything else. Again, a stat that I don't really take a lot of stock in is hits. When you look at actual hits, every arena does them differently. They're a little bit different. Yeah. Calgary allegedly out-hit Colorado 32-19 tonight. I don't care about that. My question is, you saw that big hit from Manson you talked about. You saw Lindgren both lay down some big hits and give up the body tonight.
Ross, yep.
Yeah, sure. And grit is always the word people like to use. Mm-hmm. It's clearly more than what they had before. Do you think they have enough grit now?
Oh, I really do. I really do, because, for example, Parker Kelly, for example, like Jack Drury, they're guys that get in, or Ross for that matter tonight, the way he played. Look at that goal, the second goal from Parker Kelly, right? He gets into Weegar behind the net, into the body. And yeah, I do believe they have enough grit. I do believe that when Woody wants to play with some grit, he can bring that. I believe Jimmy Vesey can bring some of that too as well. So I think somewhere, somehow, you added some grit, some guys that can play in the trenches when it's tough. Look tonight, it was murky waters, it was dirty, it was tough, it was all clogged up in the neutral zone, and those guys. And I think don't sleep on Charlie Coyle. That's a guy that plays a heavy game. That's a guy that gets through those things, and it's not pretty at times. It's just efficient. So I think it's important. I think, to answer your question, the Avalanche do have grit now. And again, on the back end, you added Lindgren, right? We saw the grit. We see the grit. That's why they went and got him. It's been a good fit for Charlie. Ryan. I'm sticking to your stupidities of calling him Charlie, his brother.
You started this. Don't look at me. You started this.
We don't want his brother playing D with his goalie gear, right? No, Ryan's more than fine, but what a fun opportunity for those brothers, right? The brother Charlie signs a big deal in Washington there a few weeks ago, and Ryan obviously, looking to continue and have a good playoff run with the Avalanche, a new team for him. So, yeah, I do believe they have enough grit. I do believe they've added grit, and I do believe that now they're built to play any type of game. You know what I mean? You want a track meet? Boom, we're there. You want a murky, muddy water like tonight? All right, we can do it. So I think they can do it all, and I think they're built for it, and I think we're going to see a long spring here in the playoffs.
I hope you're right.
That's my gut.
I guess we'll leave it there. We are out of here for tonight. We are off tomorrow, but then, of course, we've got you Sunday, pregame, watch-along, and postgame before the big game against Dallas and Mikko. Either Mikko scores a hat trick or the Avs win the game, right? That's the only two outcomes.
That's going to be awesome. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it'll be a high-octane game. Yeah, you guys are too short of winner shots. Get us to that. Obviously, we're at home, so we won't be doing them. But 100 likes, you can do it. I believe in you. We are ending, though. This has been the DNVR Avalanche postgame show presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.